Shalom. Wanted to check in with a kind of a feel-good story here, and an example of how the Most High's laws differ drastically from the laws of these Gentile nations. This story is about one of the kids that participated in a school mass shooting back in 1998. It took up headlines back then. It was at an Arkansas school. And at the time, the child was 11 years old. And since he was only 11 years old at that time, they could only try him as a juvenile. So he was in juvenile confinement until the age of 21, 10 years, and then he was released. So basically they threw him in jail for 10 years for killing 5 people, him and his accomplice. I think he was 11 and his friend was 9. Threw him in jail till he became age 21. Then he walked free, because according to the laws and the justice system of these Gentile nations, he was just a minor. And the sins that he committed as a minor cannot transfer over to when he's an adult, apparently, according to them. Even if he killed 5 people. I mean, by their logic, a child could blow up a building, killing thousands of people. And then, well, he's just a minor. Then when he becomes 21, they just take it all off his record like nothing ever happened. I mean, these people are twisted, and they dare to claim that they are the epitome of law and order. They are not the epitome of law and order. They are a mockery of it. They mock law. They mock order. Every time you hear a story about their law enforcers, infringing on people's rights, engaged in acts of brutality, that shows that they are a mockery of what law and order is. So often their positions of law and order, either the enforcement of their laws or the creation of their laws, is the haven of the worst people society has to offer. The intellectual sociopaths, the intellectual psychopaths, the high functioning psychopaths. These are the positions such people like that seek out. They seek to be the law enforcers. They seek to be the people who write the laws. Well, in this incident, this young man who is now 33 years old, and he changed his name and everything. Well, 33 is the year that his story ended. 33 is the final chapter of his book. There will be no 34th chapter. Why? Because the Most High put his law, his order on display, and he did to this freak what the Gentiles refused to do. He killed it. he killed it in a head-on car collision. It is now dead. It should have died some 22 years ago. But because we have people that mock true law and true order running things, this creature got an extra 22 years of life. So, in my opinion, that is a feel-good story. That's true righteousness on display. That's what any righteous person can ask for. All righteous people should want to live underneath that type of system, where those who commit extreme acts of wickedness are removed from the equation called life. You can't ask for anything better than that. It's when we don't have that we have the problems that we see. It's when career liars and deceivers, instead of being thrown out with the bathwater, ascend in the ranks, that we see the problems that we have. It's all connected. You know, they spend a lot of time to keep you looking in various different directions as to where the problem truly lies. But they're the problem. They always have been. You know, they circumvent and supplement the laws of the Most High with their laws. And these laws are specifically designed to allow them to make moves that underneath the Most High laws would have them killed instantly. That's the game we've been forced into. And it makes sense. The Most High basically said, if you will not live underneath my laws, then let's see how you fare living underneath theirs. And that's exactly what happened to us. We showed that we hated his laws. So he let us live underneath these people's laws, these Gentile nations' laws. And we've come to hate them as well. You know, but I think our people has learned to, we hate their laws far more than we hate the Most High's laws. I think we've gotten, most of us, I think we've gotten the message. We see what the laws of men are basically capable of. So, I hope that's a feel-good story for anyone that just needs a pick-me-up. Just think about Drew Grant, who legally changed his name to Andrew Golden, dead at age 33. Head-on vehicular collision. One of the mass shooters of American history, who by the grace of American justice system was spared an execution, only kept confined for 10 years, and was free to live his life after that. But the Most High said otherwise. And when he says otherwise, that's the way it's going to be. But a lot of crazy things are happening. I just read another story in Germany. Some crazy dude pushed a mother and her 8-year-old son in front of a oncoming monorail train. The train killed the son instantly. The mother somehow got out the way. I mean, this stuff there's crazy folk out there. A whole lot of tension, a whole lot of anguish, frustration is starting to burst forth. And you got to be careful. You got to watch it, even if you're a good person. Hopefully this frustration and anguish will target the people who deserve to have a whole lot of frustration and anguish dumped on their heads. But you can't always be certain of that. It's not always a guided missile, if you will. Sometimes it's one of those dumb missiles, which basically it hits whatever's in its general vicinity. Which means you could be a good, decent person, but you were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. So you got to be wary of stuff like that. Hot times are coming. A whole lot of debts being settled. The Most High, as he states in Scripture, he uses the rod of men, the sword of men. So when the time comes for debt settling, for retribution, a lot of times it will come in the form of a person. Somebody might just walk up into a courthouse or something and start blasting, targeting a certain corrupt DA or something, a corrupt prosecutor. At time of retribution, it takes the form quite often of men and women. In the case of Andrew Golden, it took the form of the person that was driving the vehicle that swerved into his oncoming lane. I believe that driver died as well. So you never know where it's going to come from. It kind of reminds me of that old Denzel Washington movie. I forget what it's called, where he was fighting some kind of evil entity that would jump into the bodies of any person. It's just anybody could be that entity. It could take over anyone's body and just do you in. That could be somewhat like how the Most High does things. We know that Hollywood likes to reveal things in their movies, but naturally, when they reveal the methods of the Most High, just like when they reveal his image, his visage, it's always as the bad guy. It's always as the enemy, the great terror, the great monster that's coming to destroy mankind. The movies like what's the name of that? A Wrinkle in Time. That right there. I believe that was them revealing the visage of the Most High. That whatever that dark mass was, that it would bring out people's worst desires, their worst emotions, have people fighting against each other and killing each other. People will just get mad and fed up. A person that used to be able to tolerate being bullied all the time, a person that used to be able to tolerate being teased all the time, all of a sudden this entity would just make that person no longer be able to tolerate it. Next thing you know, they're blowing their stack, slamming chairs on the ground, trying to fight folk, or worst, Worst case scenario, they come to work the next day with a gun, start shooting up people. Basically, that entity in that movie, it was the cause of that, according to that movie. It was what was making people become fed up like that. So I do believe that was kind of a little showing us the truth, but naturally it's shown to us as this is the bad guy. Ooh, he's making people intolerant. He's making people want to fight each other. But that's just what it looks like when the debts come due. That's what it looks like when a civilization that has been ruled by corruption, lies, deception, unjust laws, unevenly applied laws. That's what it looks like when it finally reaches its head. People lose their tolerance. People lose their ability to tolerate the bullshit. And then they strike. So it's dangerous for a lot of people. Because, like I said, when the strike happens, you just hope you're not one of those people that are in the wrong place at the wrong time. You have to be vigilant. You have to keep your faith in the Most High, that He'll lead you to the safe areas so that you don't get caught up in the debt settling. Because us as righteous people, that's all you can truly ask for from Him. You can't ask Him not to settle these debts. You know it has to be done. What you can ask for is that He guides you away from the ensuing chaos. That should be the greatest wish of the righteous. Shalom.